May intake. Edinburgh Napier University's programs are 100% online, 100% flexible, and 100% relevant. Online programs include the MBA with over 12 streams and a range of specialist Master of Science and bachelor degree programs. Visit www.seidegrees.com to make a reservation. That's www.seidegrees.com.
This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good evening, my name is Amrita Koshal and this is your nightly newscast. Without further ado, let's get to the news in detail. Kaieteur News publisher Glenn Lal has once again called on the government to delay the approval of ExxonMobil's fourth project, Yellowtail, until a full review of this country's oil sector is done and the necessary safeguards, including higher royalty payments and full coverage insurance, are in place. The government said it will approve the Yellowtail project next month. We had previously reported that even though the Yellowtail project, the fourth to be developed in the Stabroek block, is poised to see its costs going beyond $9 billion, it is still regarded by Hess Corporation as having outstanding economics that will work in the company's favor. Specifically, the company's chief operating officer, Greg Hill, disclosed that the final numbers have not been decided for the project, as this would only follow approval by the government. Be that as it may, it was predicted that inflationary pressures on the market will push the cost beyond the preliminary estimate of $9 billion. Hill was keen to note, however, that the super-efficient provisions of the Stabroek Block Production Sharing Agreement will allow for all expenditure to be recouped. And moving on, despite the devastating economic effects of the unprecedented flooding last year, along with the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on international trade, Guyana's rice exports still secured over $42 billion in earnings for 2021. Motivated by this creditable performance in the face of such odds, the government said a series of new and improved initiatives are planned for 2022 that would push industry growth upward by 25%. Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa said the primary focus will be on increased production and rebuilding the sector to improve profitability on a sustainable basis. The minister added that his ministry projects to export 86% of the rice production this year. Moving on, days after it was revealed that the contract between China State Construction Engineering Corporation Limited and Guyana to build the $53.7 billion new Demerara River Bridge has been terminated, Vice President Baro Jagdeo has taken the spotlight for allegations of massive corruption and bribery with the Chinese. During a recent interview with the American news agency Vice News, Jagdeo was asked whether he accepts bribes, and specifically from Chinese companies seeking infrastructure and other development projects in Guyana. In a stuttering response, the vice president explained that the allegations were false. The journalist explained that after speaking with numerous Chinese sources, information is pointing to bribery as the only way to get business done locally. And we now tell you, although money from the Natural Resource Fund is included in this year's budget, the Attorney General has clarified that the funds have not yet been withdrawn from the oil account. The response by the AG Anil Nanlal comes on the heels of a Kaieteur report on Monday, in which it was stated that the administration is now seeking parliamentary approval for the funds that were withdrawn illegally and included in this year's budget. This year, some $126 billion from the oil account is expected to be included in the budget. However, the AG and Minister of Legal Affairs has contended that, quote-unquote, not a single cent has been withdrawn from the Natural Resource Fund to date. Time check for you, 19:06. We will return with more news for you shortly after the break.
Guyana is now a full-fledged oil-producing nation. But how much do you know about this valuable yet finite resource? On our radio program, Guyana's Oil and You, we strike at the heart of every issue with informed views and credible data. The time is now for you to arm yourself with insightful knowledge on your oil wealth.
It's our 50th birthday and we have some amazing anniversary deals for you. With up to 55% off selected smartphones. Get the DL3 Pro Plus for only $12,500, the Samsung A03 for $28,000, and the Samsung A12 for just $30,000. Plus, with the purchase of any smartphone, you will get a 30-day Prime bundle to use with your favorite Digicel app. Visit a Digicel store today. Thank you, Guyana, for making us 15. Digicel, better together.
And now back with more news in detail. The National Assembly was on Tuesday informed that the APNU-AFC coalition paid 90% of the contract sum for the Bartica Stelling when only 15% of the work was completed. This was revealed by Minister of Public Works Juan Edgehill. Opposition Member of Parliament Annette Ferguson, while questioning the minister in the Committee of Supply, asked that he disaggregates the sum of $445 million, which has been allocated for Leg 1, Fort Island, and Bartica Stellings. He noted that his administration will be spending $217 million this year and that they will continue next year for the completion of the Bartica Stelling. According to reports, Esmerage Contracting Services is constructing the Leg 1 Stelling and Courtney Ben Contracting Services Limited is constructing the Bartica Stelling. In other news, we now tell you in recent days, Guyana's procurement system has been questioned and in fact placed under the microscope, and the British High Commissioner to Guyana, Jane Miller, has vowed to ensure that she keeps watch on this particular sector, even as companies from her home country are seeking to build partnerships with the government and private sector entities. The High Commissioner made the statement during a news conference on Wednesday at the Marriott Hotel, where several UK firms participating in a British trade mission to Guyana gathered to share their interests in the local market. She said she has discussed the subject of Guyana's procurement systems with the Minister of Finance, and she also added that Guyana, with its budding oil and gas sector, is undergoing tremendous growth, and transparency remains a critical component on the road to development. Hence, attention will be focused on the procurement system here. Moving on, the COVID-19 pandemic last year forced the Ministry of Health to dip into the coffers higher than what was approved for spending in the past year. But Minister Dr. Frank Anthony is confident the 2022 allocation for the sector will be sufficient to meet the demands. To this end, he disclosed to the House that at least one local supplier has registered molnupiravir in Guyana, and quote-unquote, hopefully they will be able to supply that particular drug. Dr. Anthony made the revelation during the final day of the consideration of the $552.9 billion budgetary estimates, of which his ministry was allocated $19.9 billion for its capital programs and billions more under its recurrent programs, including monies for the purchase of drugs and medical supplies. And finally, in other stories, we now tell you a 36-year-old minor died on Wednesday on the Eyelash Main Access Road after the ATV bike which he was on collided with a truck. The minor has been identified as Nigel Knights, a father of two who lived at the Charity Extension Scheme on the Essequibo Coast, Region 2. According to reports, the accident occurred around 11 hours on the said access road, which is located in the Northwest District, Region 1. At the time of the accident, Knights and 39-year-old Leslie Norton were both pillion riders on the ATV bike, which was being driven by another minor. Both were picked up by public service citizens, placed into a motor pickup, and escorted to Port District Hospital. Knights was pronounced dead on arrival by a doctor, while Leslie Norton was treated and referred to the Georgetown Public Hospital for further medical attention via private aircraft. Time check for you, 19 hours 11. My name is Amrita Koshal, and this was your nightly newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.